Hey y'all, JaemiO here, and today is SpiceBox Day. If this is your first time here, SpiceBox is a segment I do every Monday, basically helping you get out of your flavor rut. This week we'll be talking about cumin. I think cumin is highly underrated in the US. It's kind of interesting because cumin started off being a spice that was heavily traded and heavily used in Africa, Mediterranean, Asia, and Europe. But after the Middle Ages, cumin pretty much fell off in Europe, which is interesting because it was used in both Egypt and Europe as currency. In Egypt, where it was first really used, cumin was actually a form of tax payment. So now you mostly see cumin used in African, especially North African vegetable dishes, and in Indian cuisine, and especially and also in Latin American dishes. So I find it kind of interesting that it's not widely used in the US. So seeing as we're just above Latin American countries and we have a heavy Latin American presence in the US, but it is making its way into the US. And so I guess what I find even more interesting is that peppercorn, so black peppercorn, so black pepper like you see on your table, is the most heavily traded spice in the world and has been for centuries. Cumin is actually number 2, but yet we don't really have it as much here. So I'm not really sure why that is, but it is pretty interesting. In most Middle Eastern and Mediterranean countries, just like you see salt and pepper on your table there, on your table here, you'll see cumin. You'll see cumin on the table along with salt. So, I've actually recently I went to a restaurant. I went to a couple restaurants. One was an Indian restaurant, and I can't remember what the other one was. But there actually was cumin sitting on the table, and I was like, "Oh, it's getting bigger here. This is awesome." So, so a couple uses on cumin. Cumin is not as useful as far as natural remedy as some of the other herbs and spices that I've shared, but it does really help with digestion, not in the way of settling your stomach, but actually breaking down your food. So actually cumin, when you eat it, the pancreatic fluids in your stomach basically increase. So that helps you to break down things like fat, proteins, and carbs. So if you're a person who has a hard time breaking those down, or especially if you're trying to lose weight, maybe add a little cumin into your dish, and then that way it can really help to break down those food groups. Cumin is also a great source of iron. So if you're a person who has iron deficiency, or you have young kids, or if you're pregnant or nursing, cumin is a great addition. Now, I will say if you're nursing, if you haven't regularly used cumin, you might want to stay away from it, because though cumin is kind of unassuming in the way it looks, it kind of looks like a lighter or more orange version of paprika. It is very pungent. So it's not spicy, but it does have a very powerful flavor to it. So you may want to consider that if you're going to use this, especially, like I said, if you're lactating. So as I shared, cumin is usually used in North African dishes that contain a lot of vegetables, especially carrots. I've seen it used in Indian dishes that feature cauliflower. Also in Indian dishes, it's used in jeera. Actually, jeera is the Indian word for cumin, and so they actually make a dish that you use cumin seeds and toast them a little bit with some oil or butter. Add in some garlic. Some people add in mace, and then you add your uncooked rice. Let that get a little bit toasty, and then add in your either vegetable stock or water, and you have a whole dish there. It's pretty inexpensive. I think it's like maybe $2 to make, and it's very filling, and it's actually, it's got some good nutrients to it. Today's dish is actually going to be a chickpea salad. So I actually only thought that chickpeas were used like as a salad topper, because the only time I saw them growing up was on salad bars, actually specifically the Shoney salad bar. And I just put a few on my salad one day. I was like, oh, these are actually pretty good. Since then, I've had roasted chickpeas, hummus, which is made from chickpeas, in case you didn't know that. And my fiance makes this delicious chickpea salad, which is not the same one I'm doing today, but that one has avocados, tomatoes, onion, corn, black beans, and it's really simple to make. So the salad today is actually even simpler to make. Like I said, it features garbanzo beans, so it's a high protein, high fiber, pretty low calorie, vegetarian friendly dish. And it's easy to make, easy to serve, and doesn't take more than about 15 minutes to make. So you should serve it chilled, though it is perfectly delicious right when you make it, but the longer you let the flavors kind of meld in there, they get even better. So on to today's dish.